Well, folks, it finally happened. I had an episode where I got too upset and I ended the episode early. So, this is me telling you beforehand and immediately after I ended the episode and then realized how short it actually was. This is me letting you know that I'm sorry. That I'm sorry. I will make up for it. Um, I guess I just needed to end it. So, okay. Let's get to the show. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 10th of June, year of our Lord 2024. Year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Nickel, aka Moton Noah. Got a big show for you guys today. Nice little Monday show on the horizon. Although I gotta say, if you get to the end of this episode, maybe come back to this exact point at the beginning of the show. Leave a timestamp down in the comments. When did it go off the rails? Because we've clocked it. We've documented it on this program. It's the Monday episodes where usually halfway through, something happens in my brain, the chemicals in my brain. There's a fusion gone wrong. And I snap. And I start talking about how much this show sucks and how I hate how it's going. And then one of two things will happen. I will end the show or I will just pivot and talk about something super duper heavy. It's seemingly always the Monday shows that this happens, okay? So I'm just saying, when does it happen? I guess you'll have to stick around to find out. But we're going to try to make it not happen today, folks, because we got some stuff that we want to get through. Going to be doing another post-game of the finals at the tail end of this episode, so similar structure to the Friday episode, where I'm recording part one of this before the game and then taping the second part of it after the game. Not to do a whole thing where I do a pregame shit a thing about the what the fuck, Nick? A pregame thing about the game just for you to listen to this by the time it's already over. And you're like, but here's my thing is if I'm Dallas, I'm going into this game, I'm a Dallas fan, and Luka has had, what is he, like averaging 35 a game following a loss in the postseason in his career. So that's what I'm thinking about going into game two. And we'll see how that one ages. And then I'll just save everything else for after the game actually happens. Folks, if you clicked on today's show, you saw the title, something to the effect of the new JJ Redick podcast. Whoa, JJ Redick has a new podcast? He does not. He does not. And yes, we are still talking about this. We are. And hold on and stay with me. We are still talking about JJ Redick and the possibility that he comes to Detroit, but for good reason. Because we've learned some stuff over the last few days. One, we learned that people are really starting to believe this. I don't know if you've seen this, and I don't know if you've heard about this, but all the shit that we talked about in Friday's episode is starting to make the rounds. For better or for worse, I should say. I think some people are spreading it as if it's quality information. It's not. It's not. I've kind of tried to put some fires out and be like, hey, I don't know how to tell you guys this. I'm a guy with an internet connection and a microphone. Yes, sometimes I know things, and sometimes some random person can find something out. But I don't know things. Okay, I wasn't putting that out there trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just laying this foundation and relaying information if it comes my way and it pertains to something that we're covering here on the show. I was just told something and I relayed that information. Okay, that's it. But then something interesting happened. Ku Cahill, credentialed reporter for the Detroit Pistons. Well, not for the Detroit. He covers the Detroit Pistons. Host of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Okay. A clip gets sent to me. And he's asking who else but James Edwards III of The Athletic. He goes, hey, and I'm not going to put the clip on here because for copyright, whatever. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody, right? But Ku is like, hey, James, your former co-host. For those of you who don't know, James and I did a podcast for like 2.5 years called The Bun and Cardigan Show. It was a Detroit Pistons podcast available on The Athletic. The only reason I started doing this show is because that show ended, okay? James and I had a good relationship for a really, really long time. Ku goes, hey, James, did you hear this thing that Nick said about the coaches that would be on the short list for the Pistons? And that Monty Williams is on the hot seat and like pretty much already out of here? Did you hear that? And can you say anything? more towards that. And James, if he really wanted to, could have been like, he's a fucking idiot and he doesn't know anything. And you're going to say, well, you guys had a good relationship for a long time. He doesn't want to shit on you. Here's what James said. James said, well, I talked to somebody in the organization earlier today or the other day, and he's like, they have not come to a decision on whether or not Monty will. I believe that. But that's not really what we were talking about, though. I believe that the organization hasn't made an official decision on what to do with Monty Williams. The evaluation here is like a masquerade for negotiations for how much money can we get back in this buyout. That's what this evaluation process is. I swear to God, dude, there's no way. We haven't made an official decision. I believe that. But I also believe that they know which direction they're going to lean. He's not going to have a job. Okay, so then what about the names? James didn't say, that none of the names were wrong. He said there would just be more than that. Oh, okay. So the gears are spinning. And I'm just thinking, don't let this be fucking real. Don't let it be real. Because, and this is the last time I'll say it until it happens, that press conference has not happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And this is really what I wanted to talk about today. We need to cover this. Everything that I just said, keeping that in mind, we need to cover this from a different angle. One that we just haven't recognized it at all. Acknowledged that the truth and the reality is that this is probably what's going to happen. If you're a Detroit Pistons fan and you're like, I want JJ Redick so bad. Let's talk for a second. Let me clue you in. Don't you just think the most likely outcome here is that 2 weeks from now, if it takes that long, the Pistons may have fired Monty Williams and, they're looking at hiring some guy that just isn't JJ Redick. And then we all think to ourselves, yeah, JJ Redick, we said in the last episode, like having a moment on television and in audio, by the way. Like the situation that he's got set up for himself through so many mediums and channels. Why the fuck why is now the perfect time for him to get into coaching? That's what we're going to say. We're going to look back at people like me who were like Paul revering this shit digitally. Like, what the fuck were you talking about? Like, this is why you don't listen to just some dude on the internet. 100%. 100%. It's like I'm setting my own example. That clicked in real time. I don't know if you saw that, but that clicked in real time for me. That I'm like kind of big bad wolfing this, when in reality or am I, is this like a mechanism of my subconscious self to not let myself believe in a conspiracy of such magnitude that I have to tell myself that obviously this isn't going to happen, when deep down I fucking know for a fact that this is going to happen. But then you think about that so hard, you're like, what are the odds of it though? What are the odds of it happening? All I'm saying is that we had a Detroit Pistons beat reporter of significant note, probably been the best one for a few years now, who has the most connections. I mean, with the new front office, hey, everything gets shaken up, but I trust James, right, in that department. I trust him to know shit. And I just thought it was interesting that it didn't just get immediately shut down. That's all that I thought was interesting. I've seen a lot of people. We haven't done any pre-draft coverage on this show at all. And that's a first for me, dating back to, you talk about anything that I've ever done, whether it was the Bun and Cardigan show, whether it was the Shoot the J podcast before that, some random YouTube videos here and there for this channel or otherwise. Draft coverage was bread and butter for me, right? And we talk about blogging, and in recent weeks we've talked a little bit about that and how much I used to enjoy doing that. It's like, dude, the pre-draft stuff is literally where the money is, right? And so I say all that just to say, like, I just don't give a shit about it at all this year, at all. Because why? And so many of you have challenged me out there to name somebody from this class other than Buzelis. A lot of you have challenged me on that. Now, what's annoying to me is I have, and you can check the tape on this, by the way, I have, but it's because I know Detroit is just going to take Buzelis, and we're going to have to fucking eat it. We're going to have to eat it. That cat from Tennessee, Dalton Necht? Dalton Necht. 3-point shooter, like, okay, that's cool. All right. And then, Nick, but you didn't even mention the other thing about the Pistons. Oh, this report, they would offer him they plan on offering him this, the Supermax, the max contract extension that he's eligible for this summer. 5 years, $220 million, $225 million over 5 years. Whoa, Nick, that's gotta get you so excited. Yes. Yeah, actually, it does. Because I think from between now and then, as a Pistons fan, and if you're a fan of any team and you just have that one guy and you're like, dude, this guy's going to leave us. You know, we've all had that player through come and go from one of our teams at some point. Like, it's crazy that Justin Verlander ended up being one of those dudes where it was like, holy shit, we have to break up with this guy. Like, damn, that really, really sucks. Thank God it never happened with Miguel. Even in his later years, last like fucking 5 years of his career, where he was just, we were just like eating $50 million a year because Miguel Cabrera had like a great 10 years like prior to that. Like, that was okay. All right, fine. I wouldn't have had it any other way, honestly. But Verlander also kind of felt like he was going to be a lifer. You know, Red Wings, it doesn't happen that often. Usually with the Wings, more often than not, you're either a lifer or like it's the middle of your career and you spend like 3 years here, and then you go do something else. And then you go say, I don't even remember really how we got here, to be honest. Were we still talking about Buzelis? We got an email in here from, I think it was from Tom, actually. And Tom, I'm not gonna read your email, but he was still on a vacation. He's on a cruise. He was in a bathroom in like England or something. He was talking about how second-round picks are overvalued and how he thinks they're meaningless, and that hoarding them just isn't really his thing. And I'm only bringing this up to say I didn't realize how this sentiment is not new. I didn't realize this is like it is a very new way of thinking, but people don't like second-round picks, and I don't get that at all. I thought second-round picks. How many trades have we seen in the last year and a half, 2 years, where like 5 second-round picks got sent back and forth? I think it was the deadline last year. Weren't there like 2 or 3 deals where 4 or 5 second-round picks were getting sent back and forth? Didn't we make a fucking song about that on this channel? 5 second-round picks, please be fucking serious. Yeah, I 100% did. I 100% did. Motown Noah, 5 second-round picks. Look that shit up. I'm pretty sure we made a song about that. So that's my response to that, Tom. I didn't even read the email. Oh, and then there's I brought all that shit up because we're gonna pay Cade the Supermax. And the other thing I was gonna say, oh wow, the Pistons might bring in like Tayshaun as an assistant GM or as the GM. Fuck yeah, cool, love it. I have literally no notes. Cool. He's been in this executive world, like the corporate NBA world, for 10 years-ish? Yeah, 10-ish years now. People have only ever said good things about him. Okay. Also, by the way, it's Tayshaun motherfucking Prince. Cool. Back on the Cade extension, it's like, yeah, so you just kick the can down the road. I mean, all right, if you lock him up, you lock him up, and you know you go into next season with a shiny new coach. It sounds like most people want Chris Quinn. Sounds like that's where the zeitgeist in Pistons land is trending. Oh, okay. All right, cool. You know, at that point, it doesn't really strike me as a dude who would hold the team hostage. Cade doesn't really, I don't think. So, I don't know. We'll see. Alrighty, folks, let's jump into our NBA Finals coverage. Game 2 coming up, heading into tonight. Boston. I don't need to fucking set the stage. You guys have already seen the game by now. Let me predict. You know what was crazy was when Dallas won. What was the score tonight? It was 119 to 111. Dallas won 119 to 111. That shit was crazy. And let's hear about it right now. Well, folks, for the first time this season, at least in the playoffs, the Dallas Mavericks have lost consecutive games, back-to-back games that the Dallas Mavericks have lost. That was like their whole thing coming into this game. I was like, well, Dallas 5-0 following a loss in the playoffs. Luka averaging the most points all time following a loss in postseason history in the NBA ever, literally ever. Google it; it's a fact, not fiction. That's real, ever. So I said to myself, well, Kristaps Porzingis can't do it again. Surely Luka and Kyrie can't both have a bad game again. I mean, they didn't. And I was the one who sat up here after game one, and I said, even if Boston does the same shit to them in game two, I'm going to feel fine about Dallas. When the series goes back to Texas, I'm not worried about it at all. So I'm asking myself, despite the score being closer, margin of victory for the Celtics was closer in this game than it was in game one. What the fuck happened? Why do I feel different? Why do I feel like this is over? I think I know why. This game kind of made you realize the levels that we're observing at play. Where if I'm Dallas and I don't get it from Luka or Kyrie, it's a loss, right? The odds are it's a loss. If I don't get it, but we can get away with it, right? If it's only one of them, we can get away with it. If they're both off, I mean, fucking forget it, right? That's the difference, man. With Boston, what we're seeing between game one and game two, yeah, sure, the Jays intermittently throughout each of these games have really made their mark, put their stamp on it in their own ways, 100%. We're not going to talk about anything other than Kristaps Porzingis. After this series happens, game one is the Kristaps Porzingis game. I think we just watched the Jrue Holiday game, right? And the Derrick White game is coming, right? At some point, we're going to get the fucking Derrick White game. Some people, by the way, might argue that just happened. And also just kind of feeds into my point. Boston gets it from anybody. But what's weird is it's the way that they execute that this is like every night that this happens for the Celtics, where it's everywhere. It's I almost said everything everywhere all at once, right? I mean, it is, though. And when you think about it, because I'm going to try to make this point, and I don't know if I'll be able to make it come across, but like when I watch the Celtics, and what does it mean to get it from Joey Hauser for 8 minutes in a game? Like, what does that entail? What does that look like? For Boston, that means like he's going to do that thing. He did it fucking again tonight where he catches the ball in his pocket. He's already in his motion, right? That's like the shit on the margins that you can't even coach. I mean, you very much can't coach that, but you know what I mean? Like that is just a whole different type of player. And then he's also the dude who they highlighted it on the broadcast, getting back on defense, right? And stopping these like just bad Luka passes, these bad full court Luka passes, getting in the way, like disrupting shit. Okay, so that's what that means. And like if you're Dallas, like what does it mean to get it out of Josh Green? He hits like 2 big threes and then maybe like a nice steal when like you kind of needed it. Not like when you really, not like back against the walls kind of steal, but like oh, fuck yeah. Like, all right, that's nice. That's a good stop. That's kind of like okay. What about Derrick Lively? So, okay, so what if you get it out of Derrick Lively? What is that? Like 3 lobs. Like 3 lobs, which, by the way, thank God that came back tonight. That Dallas was actually able to throw. I think they ended up throwing like 3 lobs, 2 or 3 lobs. Thank God. That's what was missing from game one that I feel like a lot of us, it sort of escaped us. We didn't really, those of us who speak into microphones as for a living, missed that one. Dallas just wasn't really able to throw lobs that came into this one. Oh yeah, that was the thing. So it just feels different. It just feels different if you're Boston, where man you can plug 2 holes. You know it. But top to bottom, like I'm just watching this Boston team, and there are moments where you're like, they don't even fucking need Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum in this game. They don't. And I said that about Jason Tatum in the last game, and it wasn't true when I said it, and it wasn't true now. It wasn't true about this game. But do you get what I mean? Like, you just watch the shit that some of these players do on the margins. It's wild the level that Boston executes at. And it's crazy because you talk about wanting to get it out of your two dudes. If you're Dallas, that first quarter, it looked like we were getting it, by the way. It looked like we were getting it in that first quarter. Kyrie had like a really quick 8. Luka had, I don't remember, somewhere in the high teens, combined for damn near 30 points in that first quarter. It was all Luka for a little bit. You're thinking, okay, here it is. Like, this is where it starts to happen. And then what happens when it just kind of doesn't? You go down 2 games, going back to your home floor. I guess that's what happens. Here's a note from the game. Derrick Lively. Hey, is he on, like, Derrick White hairline watch? Sneaky? Watch that motherfucker run. Whoa, Derrick Lively. It's okay. You're only 20, so it sucks that you have to do it as early as you're going to have to do it. But I think it already might be time for Derrick Lively. Oh, and then here's another one. Just speaking of Derrick White, I probably should have led with this. Really buried the lead. You know, biggest stories covering him from all angles. I really kind of missed the bar with this one. I'm telling you right now, people are going to try to put that Derrick White block on PJ Washington in that last minute of that game in the finals moments Hall of Fame. People are going to try. They will reference the Derrick White block. I'm going to tell them the same thing every fucking time. That shit was a foul. But it was a foul, though. Oh, you want it to be in the pantheon of, like, 2020's finals moments? Why? It was a foul. But it was a foul, though. It was a fucking foul. What the fuck was that all about? That was a foul. They go to the replay, and I'm watching it in real time. I'm like, there's literally no way that was a fucking foul. There was no way that wasn't a foul. 2 dudes slamming into... Yeah, no, that was all ball. Okay, I gotta see this replay. They show the replay, and it's like there's a pause in the broadcast booth because you're almost expecting them to be like, oh, and this is one of those, this is just where the players really defined themselves. They couldn't even do that because everybody with 2 eyes in America was able to see that shit was a fucking foul. Are you kidding me? His hand, they froze the frame for like a half second longer than they needed to on the fact that his fucking hand was getting swallowed by Derrick White. Oh, okay. Okay. No, yeah, let's put it in the all decade moments. Let's do it. Let's put that really crucial, like, non-call. I don't know. Maybe I'm harping on it too much. I'm watching this post game, and I guess just to rewind it back to the pregame, you know what I've learned about Bob Myers? I've identified what it is about him as, like, an analyst, as a dude who's trying to do TV. I've identified what the thing is. You know, everybody has a thing. Sometimes you can't put your finger on what is it about this guy. I identified what the thing is with Bob Myers. I think it's that he really wants to be a TV guy. I think it's that Bob Myers, like, really, really, really wants this TV thing to work out. Like, I think he's done the agent thing and he's done the executive thing for a really successful organization for a lot of years. And I think he just wants to do something else. And I think he really likes that he's able to take the victory laps that he does, which, by the way, Bob Myers likes to take those victory laps. If he's calling a game or doing, like, he's at the desk, right? Whichever role he's in, at the drop of a fucking hat, he will be like, yeah, it's like those Warriors teams I coached. Okay. He had one in the pregame of game 1. They were doing some little highlight package on Kyrie, and they're gassing him up on the broadcast. And Bob Myers is like, some people say he hit the biggest shot in the history of the NBA Finals, but that shot didn't actually happen because I don't know who that team was that he was playing against. And I was like, yeah, ha, Bob Myers, you were the general manager of that team that blew the 3-1 lead. Ha, Bob Myers. But I'm just, when that moment happens, I'm looking at it through the lens of a person who has no fucking idea who you are. And what that commentary sounds like. If I'm watching the coverage of game 1 of the NBA Finals, and some fucking guy, the chyron is not up, they don't see his face, they don't see Bob Myers, former executive for this, they don't see his credentials and shit, and they just hear one of the analysts go, I don't know anything about that series. I'd be like, what the fuck? Huh? Like, what the fuck? Hey, also, what was Nick Wright doing at this game, sitting behind the Mavs bench? Is he a Mavericks fan? Because I know he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan, so I'm like, well, maybe he just picked a different basketball team. Because if he's not I didn't think he was a Mavericks fan. So if he is, then all right, like fair play, I guess. But if he's not, then what the fuck was that all about? Hey, and then another pregame thing. How did this one work out? The whole Jason Kidd being like, yeah, well, Jaylen Brown is their best player. A lot of layers here. You talk about, from all angles. Let's try to take on as many of these as we can. One, Jason Kidd saying that Jaylen Brown is the Celtics' best player is being perceived as a hilarious form of attempted psychological warfare on the part of Jason Kidd. That is true. But I think he actually might be serious, by the way. I think he might be serious. And if you were just looking at the Celtics in a vacuum of the last 16 games that they've played, one could certainly arrive at that conclusion, no? You could get from A to B on that one pretty easily. Jaylen Brown is the best player in the Celtics. Just the last 16 games, and if anything, that's when it matters. I don't give a fuck who was the best player for the first 82 games, who's been the best player for the last 16. You know what I mean? That's been Jaylen Brown. It's been Jaylen Brown. So do I think Jason Kidd was trying to fuck with the Jays, and then because all that does is perpetuate the narrative, because now all people are going to want to do on talkhead shit. I almost said talkhead radio. That's not a thing. Talking head TV, I guess is what you would call it. Now all they want to do is dissect that, and we're just furthering this narrative. And what's funny is, if dog, you watch this game tonight, how did Jaylen Brown look? Literally unstoppable. How did Jason Tatum look? That's what people really want to talk about. Well, before we talk about how Jason Tatum was, you know what was funny? Is ESPN kind of not trying that much to hurt the Jays? Not hurt the Jays. Well, I guess to help the narrative that maybe that we should break the band up. I just thought it was interesting. That Jaylen was the one that was mic'd up, and all we're hearing is him being like the voice, and him being like the leader of the team. And then you just see, it was just funny because at the time that they were showing all of these little breakouts, as I'm saying this out loud, this actually sounds way fucking stupider. I'm honestly glad that I'm saying this out loud, because this is not a good take at all. So why don't I move on? I don't believe anything that I just said in the last 45 seconds. Literally just, it didn't happen. So what I wanted to say was, how did Jason Tatum play in this game? Well, that's the thing, is if you're like a box score watcher, right? That's like how you consume that. You're gonna be, he's fine, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, if you were just going by his splits, I don't think he finished great at all. Throughout the game, it wasn't always pretty. It was a really gritty. Did that motherfucker end up getting a triple-double? He would have gotten pretty close. It's so weird with Jason Tatum, man. The ebbs and flows of this. Jason Tatum ended with 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 12 assists. Jrue Holiday, man, 26 and 11. He flashed up a graphic that the Celtics this season are 34-1 when Jrue Holiday scores at least 14 points. The Jrue Holiday game, another thing they said on the broadcast, they were right. Seemingly every team. Talk about, man, the Jrue Holiday, the true missing piece, like the perfect player for this team. Name a more evergreen statement. Name a more iconic duo, Jrue Holiday and being the missing piece. Hey, here was another fun thing from the broadcast. Early in the game, they showed Shaq and Paul Pierce sitting behind one of the baskets. And Mike Breen goes, 2 Celtics legends, and then immediately corrects himself. He goes, Shaq, well, he played for the Celtics. Whoa, Paul Pierce, champion for the Celtics. Whoa, Mike, what the fuck? Damn. 2 Celtics legends. Well, Shaq played for the Celtics. Damn. Between that, I feel like there's something I'm forgetting, but then there's also him bitching Shaq, and then when Al Horford would do anything in what series was it? It's kind of been the whole playoffs, and Mike Breen is just like, look at that old piece of shit. Al Al Horford will hit like a fucking Al Horford will hit like a fucking sham god from like 27 feet. Mike Breen's gonna be like, look at this old fucking. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy. I can't be mad at Mike Breen. What am I supposed to do? I'm laughing this hard. I'm supposed to be mad at Mike Breen. Okay, let me steer this thing back in the right direction. Let's get back on the road, ladies and gentlemen. Take off the let's reach a steady cruising altitude here at the Coving Hour and get this fucking thing back on the road. Man, the finals. So I feel that much. I kind of alluded to this at the beginning. I feel that much differently about this series going back to Dallas than I thought I was going to. I guess, because I think Dallas will pull one out if it's game 3. I think my new number is 6. I think it's Boston. I went from Dallas in 5 to now it's Boston in 6. But so what that actually means is it's probably going to be Boston in 5. But I got to tell you guys, man, I've been honest lately. I've been really, really transparent with you guys, really putting it all out there, wearing it all on my sleeve, as they say. I believe, like very deeply, I believe that Dallas can do this. I'm being so for real. I'm not trying to be funny at all. Or hedge my bets I believe so deeply in the Magic. I don't know why. Even if I can watch these games and be like, it's close. It's close. But it's not close. It's just not. The disparities when Luka and Kyrie are holding this thing together, like it seems like it's close. And then for whatever reason, one of them checks out, whatever the fuck it is, right, man? It's just also, I had no idea that Luka was like hurt. I mean, like, sure, I know he's just kind of one of those dudes that's like perpetually, he's always banged up. He's always dealing with shit. But I get a text from my brother. He says something, like 3 hours before the game. I go, Luka is questionable? What the fuck? I turn on ESPN, and they're on the bottom ticker, they're talking about Luka Doncic questionable, like knee, chest, and fucking back. What the fuck? He's got like 8 things wrong with him. Like he's the fucking Tin Man. Like, what? Like, huh? I'm bummed. Bummed that this is not going to go 7 and that not even just that Dallas is going to win. Because I guess the more that I think about it and the more that it sits with me, Jason Tatum, NBA champion. Jaylen Brown, NBA champion. Kristaps Porzingis, NBA champion. I guess, guys. I guess. That's cool. Banner 18, it did have to happen at some point. And we talked a little bit about it last week. A lot of that horse shit today. Oh, we talked about it last week. Like, you might as well just fucking go listen to last week's episode if I want to keep talking about, or last Friday's episode if I want to keep talking about shit from the last episode, Nick. Talk about shit that's going on now. Not stuff that happened like 3 days ago. Oh, I guess this is where it happened. Oh, I just got it in real time. I asked you guys at the beginning to hold me accountable, and whenever I go off the rails and get mad at myself in the middle of the episode, to do the timestamp thing. There you go. Get the timestamp. Get that one ready. I feel like I need to do like a hard reset. I'm not cutting. I've totally pivoted from wanting to cut ever when I do these. It's like a really good mental exercise to just try to talk through it. It's not good audio for you at all, but it's good for me to I don't know, to get it out there. I'm ending this. I'm so serious. I'm ending the show. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. If you are listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, here's a James Borrego, Cavs coach. Have you heard that? Is that out there? James Borrego, Cavs coach. Feel good about that one. I would take James Borrego off of the list of candidates for the Detroit Pistons job. And I would add him to the top of the list of Cleveland Cavaliers head coaching candidates, I would put him at the top and then cross out where it says candidate, and I would just leave it where it says head coach next to James Borrego, Cleveland Cavaliers. So it would say James Borrego is the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's what I would say. I'm saying all of this, and I realize it sounds maybe like in the last 2 episodes I'm pivoting to a news breaker. Like I'm breaking news now. No. But I would say that the Pistons aren't going to hire him. Because even if they do fire Monty Williams, James Borrego won't be on the market because he's going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach. Okay, by Friday, this little manic episode that I really want to know what that is. I know I got a lot of like stress in my life, but I don't know what it is about Mondays. And it's not like, oh, damn, Mondays, am I right, pal? It's not like that. I don't know. Okay. If you're listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. If you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control.